Hello and welcome to July. So I'm going to be giving you an update on the energies this month regarding our soul expansion. So grab yourself a cup of tea and come and get yourself comfortable. I'm just going to check a few things are working. And I'm going to say hello again, even though I muted that earlier. Anyway, we're all on. So hopefully I can see the chat this time as well. So do let me know if you're in the chat, say hello, so I can share the conversation with you. Cool. So welcome to July, and we are getting ready to climb the mountain. So we've just had a Capricorn full moon, and this climbing the mountain is about us stepping up to meet our God self. So how have you guys been feeling? What's been happening for you guys over the last couple of weeks? Have you noticed a shift? Have you noticed some resistance? What have you been noticing? So hello to those on Zoom. Hello to those on YouTube. So just take a few deep breaths and get yourself into the zone. And just contemplate the question, like, what has been happening for you over the last few weeks? The Capricorn full moon was about 2 weeks ago, I think, 2 Fridays ago. So we've had 2 weeks now of the Capricorn energy. What have you noticed? So I'm saying up and down, but looking forward to some new change. That's cool. So if anybody's with me on YouTube, do say hello so I can see that you're there. And I want us to kind of just take a few breaths because it feels like we've been in a pause, waiting to birth a new something. And we're just in that point where we're not quite fully ready to give birth. We're in that kind of in the middle canal, birthing canal, I guess. And what's interesting is that we've got two Capricorn full moons, one after the other. And the way I felt this one was we were setting up base camp first, and then we were going to do the proper climb. So we're doing reconnaissance, really. And the main difference between the two full moons, I think, or the two Capricorn energies, is that by the time we come into the second one, we're going to be in the middle of a Sirius gateway. So Sirius is our spiritual sun. And I usually find that during July and August is when I get a lot of big downloads, big insights, big shifts, big changes. So that's going to be happening in between these two full moons. So what have you been noticing for you over these last few weeks? Okay, that does seem all set up. We're getting new perspective on things in general. Yeah, it's been a bumpy time for me as well. I've had quite a big shift. It's kind of obvious when they happen, but sometimes you don't see them coming. And then you sit there thinking, why did I not realize I was like that? How could I miss that? It seems so obvious now. But something, I know it sounds weird, but I think for the last few years, I haven't quite felt myself. And now I'm starting to feel like my old self from 20 years ago, as if I've been asleep for the last 20 years and something now has woken up. Something, it's really weird. So, how has it been for you guys? Are you noticing the same? Just keep taking a few deep breaths. I just want you guys to get really into this energy before I start today. So the energy that we've been breathing into is this kind of quick 3 breaths in. So count, like breathe in for 3 and then exhale for 6. So we go 1, 2, 3, and then slow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is quite a good breathing exercise for this birthing that we're going through at the moment. So if you can do that and listen to me today, then let me know how you feel at the end of it, because it's kind of like we're at this exhausted stage. Have we got any more energy to push us through or not? We're at the base of that mountain. We're looking up thinking, can we really climb this mountain? Is this really possible? So that's where we're at the moment. So those breathing is really going to help. So I just keep checking on the messages over here. So at the moment, we are, as I say, at the base of a mountain. And you're being asked to cross a line into a new, bolder version of who you can be. So what resistance have you noticed? So welcome everyone. I think we're all online now. I'm excited to share the latest update on the ascension energies for July 2024. And as we start the second half of this transformative year, in July, we're going to start exploring these energies and how they've been propelling us forward to bring us to new levels of consciousness. These energies have been guiding us towards deeper and deeper understanding of ourselves, but also to our connection to our God self, to this true essence of who we really are, which allows us to connect to the universe and embrace our evolution in a new way, which I like to call the quantum human way. So the lessons we've been learning so far are shaping a new way of thinking, of being, paving a way for a brighter and more awakened future. So thank you for tuning in. I look forward to sharing more of the updates that I've received this month and on our collective journey towards higher vibrations. So we're all in the zone here now. We've been doing our breathing, quick breathing in for 3 and out for 6. Let's just keep that going. So today's theme is all about crossing the line into our bigger self. We are at a time of transition again, as if we haven't had enough. And the way it feels is, think of a TV. Now, some of you might not be old enough to think of tuning in a TV or a radio channel, but it used to be quite a fiddly job. I used to turn it and you'd miss and you'd go back and you'd have to go different ways to try and get it precise to that tuning. Well, it kind of feels a bit like that now. And I'll explain a bit more why I'm saying that, but that's kind of how it's been feeling for me. It's this kind of like 1 minute feeling on point and the next not quite so much. And the on point are the days of exciting opportunities. And the static in between are the fear and the panic of what's next. So yeah, Marta says she feels that. I thought TV kind of, when I saw TV the other day, I thought, oh my God, that's what was happening to us. So if this is your first time joining me, do check out the previous episodes, because this has kind of been a journey of enlightenment. And each week I try to give you some insights on what to explore next. And do leave comments on the other videos, because I always like to hear your takeaways so we can continue the conversations and evolve together. So for those who don't know me, I'm Trudy, and I'm a soul purpose guide. So a slightly galactic soul purpose guide. But I'm dedicated to helping individuals uncover their true selves and embrace authenticity and liberation. I assist people in discovering who they are and or who they can be and what they're here to do, and guiding them then on a journey, like an adventure of self-discovery. And this involves us stepping into our sovereign, godlike self. To find your true essence, I like to refer to it as the Holy Grail, which takes us into that beautiful King Arthur story. And it's a great kind of analogy for what we've been talking about since Lion Gate last year. So the show is for you if you're ready to embark on a transformative journey towards self-realization and unleash your full potential. So join me in taking these first few steps towards a fulfilling life. So I'll be with you for about 45 minutes today. It seems to be the average of what lasts. And then afterwards, after this YouTube live, I have a bunch of like-minded people on Zoom, and we carry on the conversation there. We have a bit of a Q&A and we ask some deeper questions. If ever you want to join me on these Zoom meetups, then just DM me or email me at whitestarsoulguidance@gmail.com. So they're complimentary, but there is a bit of a kind of, I do check people are suitable for what we're doing. So are we all ready? The theme this month, taking action to cross the line into a new version of who we are and what we're here to do. We've just had that Capricorn full moon preparing us to climb the mountain and meet your God self. And we're going there because we're going for guidance. Because who better to guide us than our God self to tell us what our next big steps will be? The preparation that we've been through, and it's always really more obvious when you look back at it, but it's been a preparation of becoming an archetype. And the archetypes described beautifully this month by the Irish Celtic mythology queen, Dana. And she's a queen of a supernatural race. And this race was really good at science, arts, and magic, which is kind of, if you look back over the last episodes, you'll see that theme running through. The outlook that we've got is to birth that rare success that we spoke about last time. It started 2 months ago and it's been building up, and now it's saying it's time to take action on it. The challenge that we have is your approach to adventure. Again, think of this as, how would you be if you were King Arthur? Could you go on quests? And the strength that we have to draw on is this galactic consciousness that, again, I spoke about in January. We didn't understand it fully then, but now we're seeing how it's evolving. And the advice will be every challenge comes with a solution. The next steps is really no step. It's basically saying that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. So that's quite interesting to see how there are no next steps. It's just allowing. So when it comes to taking action, what action are we taking exactly? Well, tell me how this feels. If any of this resonates, then put a heart or an X in the comments so I can see how much this resonates with you guys. So have you ever had this feeling that your next step is going to take you into a life-changing event and that somehow there's no going back after it? Now, maybe it's a job change or a relationship change, but just think about that. Have you noticed that, you've been at this point where you just have this sense that you're going to cross a line? And just imagine now how you've dealt with these before. How have you tuned into them? What have you done? What approaches do you take to this? Because do you also notice that it's kind of like, I kind of relate this to an experience I had with windsurfing. I'd watched loads of guys get out there pulling this windsurf up and failing and think of falling back down. And when everybody gone, I kind of thought I'd be shy. I'll go and step up and try. So I stood on the board, and maybe because I didn't have the same brute force strength as the guys, I gently pulled it up and the thing came up and I took off. Well, of course, I wasn't prepared for that. I'd been planning so much on pulling that sail up, I hadn't thought about what happens once it's up and I shoot off across the lake. So, of course, I panicked. I didn't know how to control it. I panicked and jumped off. And that's kind of a human nature thing, if you think about it. So do you also get caught up in the plotting and the planning, like that first step? And that sometimes you find that you go backwards or sideways, just anything because you're not ready to cross over that line yet. So it's kind of like more comfortable to stay in the planning and the plotting phase than it is to actually now turn it into reality. So give me a heart or an X if you've ever experienced that. Sounds familiar. The problem is we're at a point now where the only step left is forward. So as you're standing there thinking, oh my God, I have to go forward, what do you feel? Do you feel doubt, hesitation? Do you freeze? What is your initial feeling as you're about to cross that line into something new, being something different, doing something different? So hesitation, freezing, doubt, self-criticism, what comes up for you? Doubt. Yeah, we all get to that point of doubt, don't we? So you feel now that you're faced with reality. That's why you've got doubt. It's kind of like, am I going to succeed or fail? That's why the doubt comes from. You're standing there on the line going, oh my God, if I cross this line now, I'm going to have to really see if this beautiful plan that I've created in my head, the happy ever after that I've created, is actually going to succeed or fail. So each time we hit these moments, it comes with resistance, fear of failure, the inner critic saying you're not good enough. And these are coming from your personality. These are the fears that we have to keep us safe. Our personality always wants to keep us safe. And sometimes we're afraid of becoming this best authentic version of us because we know it means exposing ourselves to our dreams and exposing them to the world. And that leaves us feeling very vulnerable. And we're never trained really to be that expressive and to share ourselves in such a vulnerable way. So you find yourself going, well, can I really do this? So again, give me a heart or an X if you've ever done that. If I push forward over this invisible line, will I really be able to handle what crossing this line will bring? So this is a little bit like fear of success. Once you cross that line, then you've kind of like, you're committed. So what happens then is that you start worrying about losing what you're trying to do or messing up and losing it completely. So have you ever found yourself worrying that if you cross the line, what's it going to bring and am I going to be able to handle it? Again, give me a heart or an X. And then another one is where you're standing there at the line and you're thinking, if I cross that line and people see me being bigger, will they expect more of me? Will they want more of my time, more of my energy? Will they give me too much, more than I can handle? So again, an X or a heart if you've experienced that. And how much more time or money or energy will people expect from me is another one. So you cross the line, you think, is this going to take up more of my energy? Do I have the energy for it? More people, money? What's going to happen? Am I going to find my resources are being diminished by doing this? And then the final question is, will you fear that when you do this step, because it could be messy, it could be unknown, are you afraid that people will see you as messy and broken and a little bit all over the place if you cross this line? So again, give me a heart or an X if you're feeling that. Thanks, guys. So we can see, there's quite a few things there, like holding us back. That's the kind of resistance. But the thing is, if you don't cross the line, you're never going to know if it's a success or failure. And I know that's a concern for many of us, to finally have to be a success or a failure. And they sometimes prefer not to know, because it's easier to not know than to be a success or a failure. And we're even more comfortable in a way being a failure, because we're quite happy to self-sabotage and adopt a no need to knock me down, I'll knock myself down for you approach to life. But the thing is, if you don't cross the line, you're not going to know if you're a success or a failure. Failures are opportunities to do things differently. It's a way to learn. So there is no success or failure. And if you're just waiting for that confident version of you to wake up one day and look at you in the mirror and say, yes, today's the day, we're going to cross the line, then that doesn't tend to come just by itself. There has to be a motivation or a conviction or something that will help push you across that line. Something that will help you make the right decisions and take the necessary action. So it can be as simple as doing self-healing and sorting out your wounds that are holding you back. But you have to do the work in order to be able to step into that confident version of you. So it's an accumulation of baby steps. It doesn't have to be one big thing. It's just lots of little baby steps to get you there. And crossing this threshold is tough. Yes, I know it's tough. But again, only because we make it about success or failure. So we're at this point now where, imagine this is a bit like the mother bird in the nest about to push the babies out to get them to fly. And they're all sitting there with their feet against the side going, no, 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 I'm too little. I can't do this. I can't do this. And of course, when they finally get pushed out of the nest, they fly. That's what the universe is doing to us right now. So just consider that. Yeah, you're feeling familiar with that? So the thing to realize is that it doesn't matter if you take a good step or a bad step, an imperfect inaction or a perfect action or an imperfect action. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. The only thing you have to be focused on is taking a step. Otherwise, you're stuck in a kind of loop, a status quo, and you're not breaking out of it. So you have to take a step to break the pattern, to find a way through. And as soon as you take that step, good or bad, you're now a success. You're already opening yourself up to try something different. Now, wouldn't it be good if we taught in schools how to fail? It'd be so much better to understand life if we all knew how to navigate failure. Because life is a dance, and this is an adventure. And this adventure comes from your soul evolution. It's part of your path. You're meant to, everything you're frightened of, you're meant to be, because you're not meant to know how to do it. You're not meant to know how to fix the problems or who to call or anything, because that's what you're there to learn. Just like you can't expect to go to university and know all the curriculum. You have to be a beginner and initiate before you then come out as the expert. And if we could treat life more like that, then we'll find that it's less stressful. So part of today's reading, you hear me mention earlier, was this, your approach to adventure. So this is what we're talking about here, is your approach to adventure. You need to learn as much about failure as you do success. So do you guys get a sense of what your soul is calling you to do? And then those previous questions that I mentioned of what your personality is telling you to try and stop you taking that step. Because if you can do the work on that and get to know what that means, then you'll find you're in a much better position to go on the adventure. That's reassuring. Yeah. Well, the thing is, we're meant to fail. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the type of group of people that are sensitives that suffer more, or if everybody suffers. But I know there are a lot of confident people out there who are quite happy to try something and fail, to go bankrupt, to challenge the status quo. But it's not the norm. And we kind of want to try and build ourselves up into a person that could be a little bit more adventurous for that. And this is kind of where the preparation came in. So I mentioned the Queen Dana, and I can't pronounce it, but it's an Irish Celtic queen, the Tuath of Dagda. Dagda, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm Welsh, not Irish, so I don't know the way to pronounce that. So the preparation that we've had has been to do with how you've probably evolved a lot this year through your experiences, and you haven't even noticed it. So I kind of want you to pat yourself on the back and recognize some of the work that you've been doing. Because at this point, we're about to go into the Sirius Gateway and the Lion Gateway in August, and we're going to get a lot more downloads, but you've already had more than usual in the first 6 months. If you look back at the previous podcast, you'll see the amazing downloads that we've been getting and the upgrades and the evolution that's been happening. So we've got a few more coming, but we still have got a lot already under our belt. So just tap yourself on your back because you've done an amazing amount already. And I just want you to recognize all the things you've done to create liberation for yourself, to step back into your sovereignty, any of the self-healing you've done, any of the synthesis of polarized thoughts that used to give you a lot of issues that you've now resolved, any self-sabotaging that you've broken and moved away from, any rules of personality fear that used to govern you now, and you're stepping more towards obeying your soul calling. This is what we've been learning over the last 6 months. And the archetype that we are becoming is represented beautifully by Queen Dana. So she represents justice and balance. And of course, the first balance we have is soul and personality. And she carries 4 jewels: the Stone of Destiny, which is all about sovereignty, the Sword of Light, which is responsible power, which is Excalibur, and the Spear of Phineas, which is kind of like the courage to fight the necessary battles, because it's kind of like when you're following your soul calling, it's a natural conclusion that you'll win. And then finally, the Cauldron of Dagda. And this is a bottomless cauldron representing the ability for you to manage all your resources that you need to do what you're here to do and to help you take the next step of your journey. She wears a red robe to show her strength and positive thought. Her necklace is about obedience to the higher power. Her cloak is orange of creativity, and we spoke a lot about tapping into our creative sexual energy. Then she has 2 jackals at her feet, holding a cord in each of their mouths, and the cord weaves together, creating a labyrinth. And this represents all the pathways you can travel on your adventures. And along these pathways, you will find out more about yourself, your authentic essence, and also you'll discover your immortality of your soul. So how would it feel to take on this quest, this next step, crossing this line as Queen Dana? How would you feel if you had to, and put her on and imagine what it would feel like to be this archetype that I've just described, and then cross the line as her? Sovereign. So the word sovereign to me means to be in control of your life, to be in control of your mind, of your soul, to be not in control in an overly controlled way, but just to have the power of choice and free will. That's the kind of sovereign one. Like nothing could stop me. That's a nice one. Yeah. I like that one. Because it's interesting, our challenge from last month was, how are you going to become an authentic way shower? And then Queen Dana shows up this month in the reading to say, well, this is how you do it. This is the archetype. And you can always replay this and listen to that again because it is such a beautiful description of our power. So I don't know if you guys did any work on your authentic way shower last month or not, but that's the kind of the preparation that we've been going through. So the outlook this month is about birthing this rare success. So if you remember, 2 months ago, we said it was the next steps. Then last month, it became the theme, like the main work that we were doing. And now it's taking action to birth it. That's the stage it's gone. And for me, a rare success is something that you've known about yourself or had inside you all this time. And it's just been kind of cooking and getting ready to come out now. So it's taken you all your lifetime, but now's the time it's ready to come out. So maybe you've been feeling frustrated or not happy with your life. That could be this bubbling up as well. And a rare success could just simply mean you becoming more of your authentic self, speaking up for yourself, putting yourself first. It could be you finally listening to your heart and following what lights you up. It could be finding a new career that is more rewarding on multiple levels of creativity, money, and soul growth. These are all rare successes. Yeah. So just what we've been preparing, all the insights we've been getting has been helping us get ready for this. So you need to know, how are you going to take a first step? Because if you don't take it, the universe is going to push you. So it'd rather kind of go willingly than wait for that push on my back to see what happens next. And how are you going to find a toolkit to support you doing this? So just notice now, how are you feeling about taking this step? And even consider, what is a rare success mean for you? What is that experience? And again, you'll have lots of clues in your dreams, in your feelings, in what's been happening for you. So there'll be quite a lot of stuff going on for you to understand if any of this stuff that's been coming up for you is actually starting to make sense. Because sometimes we get lots of insights bit by bit, and it's only in hindsight that we can look back at it and see how it all fits together. So again, check out last month's podcast because we spoke more about this rare success then. It's because it was the main theme in June and it was just the next steps in May. So we're talking now in July, how are we going to make this a reality? How are we going to take these beautiful dreams that we've created and now make them real? The challenge is how you face life. So how are you going to face this adventure? Can you see all aspects of your life as an adventure? And like I said, these are the jackals at the bottom in the labyrinth concept. And how do you find out the things you don't know about yourself? How do you walk through the unknown? How do you uncover and heal the things that are holding you back that you don't even know are there? Because it's not always obvious that half of our problems come from inside us. It's not something outside of us. Because we create all these contracts and vows and agreements to defend ourselves for reasons we might not remember anymore, if they've come from past lives or childhood. So how do you open up your new pathways for self-discovery? Does anybody have an answer for that? It's a big question, I know. I like to ask big questions. That's why you have to watch this again and then really contemplate these questions. So what I try to do to help you guys is, by doing each of these episodes, I'm trying to kind of give you little keys, little doorways that you can then open. And each one is a kind of doorway for you to walk through and explore. Now, the speaking part of what I do is the mind satisfaction, giving you the mental, intellectual information. But equally, energetically, we're talking soul to soul, and the soul is having its lessons understood and is being kind of nurtured and prompted to help give it the confidence to speak to you and for you to hear it, and so you can walk through these doors. But you also have to remember that once you decide to go into one of these doorways, there's no turning back as such, which is why crossing the line is a good analogy. Because you have to make changes and you have to walk through discomfort along the path if you want to make progress. So just realize, that you can't just listen to other people's descriptions or do healings in a passive way. You have to really now, the sovereign part of you has to be welcoming of the soul changes, welcoming of discovery and walking the unknown and actively playing with life. So how did you do any self-discovery? Doing the work in our group every week has been and being curious as to why things happen in the way they do. Nice. So that's a great way of self-discovery, is curiosity, looking at the way things happen and then reflecting what they mean to you. So when we walk through these pathways, the more you know yourself, the more you will choose the right choices. When I say right, as in they will expand you. The more or the less you know yourself, the more you'll get yourself into drama and learn the hard way until you do know yourself. So then you will be more aligned. So it becomes, the more self-discovery you do, the more or the easier it gets for you to be aligned with a higher vibrational narrative. And it really does help your decision making, because then you know why you're making the decisions you're making and what to expect as the outcome. Because you've been given a lot of new seeds. So as well as us growing, we've been given lots of new seeds, lots of new keys, lots of some solar flares, new energetic downloads to unlock so many new avenues of exploration. So again, you have to ask yourself, what is stopping you from exploring these avenues? So as we just had the Capricorn full moon, and the soul is learning now to walk up the path to the mountain to meet their true essence and their God self, you get a choice of doing it either as a mountain goat, a sea goat, or a unicorn. And the mountain goat is very much about struggling, fighting, perseverance, and like, I can do this, I can fight my way up this mountain. The sea goat is a kind of a little bit more personality and soul. So the soul is kind of guiding a bit and the personality is still resisting. So it's still half and half. And the unicorn is kind of where you skip up the mountain in a very soul aligned, obeying your soul, happy, curious, basically what you said there, being curious as to why things happen and pivoting, being able to pivot really quite easily and quickly as you go up. So you can constantly be readjusting yourself. So if you take my analogy of King Arthur, we have to now consider that maybe King Arthur is riding a unicorn. Now, we talk about the knight on the horse as two separate things anyway, but this is us becoming as one unit. So could you approach the next phase of life in a light, playful, childlike way? Approach to your trial and like a trial and error kind of way, so that you can try something, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, because that's how you build your toolkit of how to navigate the unknown. So how many unicorns have we got here? Give me a heart if you think you could become a unicorn. It's hard. It's all about allowing and soft power and surrendering, again, fearlessness, all things we've been speaking about over the podcast for the last year and a bit now, is all the things we've spoken about up till now. So if that's the challenge, is how we approach our adventures, then what strengths do we have to draw on? And this is a concept that came up in January, and it's this Galactic Federation of Light, but not as I've seen on the internet regarding the multidimensional beings. This feels a little different. And it's a consciousness, and I feel it as a galactic consciousness is perhaps the easiest way to refer to it. And we've got a couple of unicorns watching tonight. And it's all about, the whole journey that we're going through is enlightening, becoming an enlightened being who is awakened from sleep of ignorance and achieving freedom and liberation from suffering. That's what we're all trying to aim for. And consciousness is our kind of ways that we could do this. So we've got Christ consciousness, but I don't tend to resonate with that so much myself. And I do feel like there's a lot of suffering tied up in it based on modern day kind of interpretations and the way the Bible kind of describes it now. You have Buddha consciousness, which is more about that awareness of your mind and mindfulness. But when I think of galactic consciousness, it feels more like it's those things together plus understanding the divine matrix and the past, present, future, so time and space. So it seems like an extra layer above it. And it was interesting when I took my group up to the top of the mountain, I wasn't sure if they were all ready to see the galactic consciousness, but their God self was a galactic consciousness, which I thought was rather nice. And the strength being a galactic consciousness fits in with the Sirius rising this month as well, the Sirius gateway, and then soon the Lion's gateway. So it's interesting that that's going to bring us a lot more signs to guide us into how to become a way shower and to shift us into alignment with this quantum human template that I see us becoming, you know? So how do we get access to this consciousness? Well, like I said, I think last month, full moon was about sitting at the base camp, strengthening who we are, like getting fit, gathering up all the resources we need. And I think the next one, which will be in the middle of the Sirius Gateway and the Lion Gateway, will be when we go up to meet our God self and hopefully see this galactic consciousness for the first time, or at least with it more filled out than we've seen before. Because, like I said, this galactic consciousness came up first in January, and we were all waiting to see what this was going to be. I think we're going to get a better understanding for it now. So I think next month we might start seeing the fruits of our labors of all the work we've either done, and if we haven't, we'll see the fruits of those too. So whatever we've worked at, we will see manifesting in July. July and August. So we're almost there. The advice is quite simple. It's every problem comes with the solution. So you've got to imagine, and we spoke about this when we spoke about the God sparks back in, that was Virgo full moon. It was that kind of like the butterfly approach to transformation, where they already have the cells inside them to go through the cocoon to caterpillar cocoon butterfly stage. It's a instinct that does that. They don't sit down one day and go, I'm going to read some books on how to become a butterfly, and I'm going to study it, and then I'm going to go to the gym to build some wings. They don't think like that. It's just an instinct that's guiding them. And in fact, I think I saw Pam Gregory do a talk on this as well, a couple of months after I spoke about it. And she said that apparently scientists said that both cells exist in the body at the same time, the butterfly and the caterpillar, and then one transitions to the other. And I've seen this in some visions. There are these shadow cells, I saw them, and they needed light. So that kind of really does make me think maybe we have a similar thing too. So this advice says that basically we have inside us, in our DNA, in our cells, the solution that we need, whether it be the healing or the consciousness shift or the understanding. And, you know, we said about don't blame external things, because we need to clean our inside landscape up first, because that's what's really holding us back. And just quickly on that, we often create vows and contracts that get us into difficult relationships and situations because we're afraid of something that either came from this lifetime or a previous one, and we don't know it because we've forgotten it because we've closed off to it. And in one of the things I've noticed in my one-to-one sessions with clients is that we're getting to some of the roots of these now. So with work and with the right guidance, you might find some really fascinating stories waiting to come online to show you why you are what you are and why you've been creating these dramas in your life. So it's quite exciting to see some pretty big revelations coming up. And when we access this galactic federation of light consciousness and the divine matrix, we can now finally find the clues that we need to this liberation. And that's what we do in one-to-one sessions a lot. We're always in communication with the quantum space, asking questions, exploring past, parallel, future lives, and pulling in as much as we can. And there's just so much juicy information coming through now. I don't think of this as the Akashic Records. This is bigger than the Akashic Records. I've never worked with them directly myself. I've just had this connection to something. I call it divine intelligence. And a bit like I said, Christ consciousness and Buddha consciousness and galactic consciousness are slightly different. For me, the consciousness I feel comes from further from the universe than the Akashic Records. It's like more of our multidimensional soul is coming back online. And again, I did some work before Christmas on Sirius and Orion, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with those energies this year. So the next steps were everything as it should be. So if you accept that everything you've had is past and you can make peace with it and know that it got you to this point, how would that make you feel? Does it make you feel more confident? Does it make you feel sad that life has been difficult? But sometimes we have to learn hard lessons. And I've said this before again in one of the other podcasts that I find the people with the biggest power and the biggest transformation to make have had some of the toughest lives this lifetime. So rather than feeling a victim to that, then find a guide who can guide you through it and find out what that's all about. Because the other side of it is some amazing things for you to experience. And this is how you're going to get to birthing this rare success. So just think now, what do you need that will help you birth your rare success? Yeah, so got some comments saying embracing more and more of their soul these days, falling into a new pattern. Yeah. So you remember I started the conversation by talking about this TV radio earlier. So let's just visualize this TV in front of you. And you can see it kind of flashing, and you might have a flash of this new version of you and this exciting opportunity, this thing that you've been dreaming of happening. And you think, oh, that's weird. I didn't expect that to pop up again. You just see a flash of it. And it's like a new timeline, a new you doing this amazing thing, and it's successful. It's something that you kind of maybe dreamt as a younger adult or a child. But now it's like flashing up like a little beacon trying to remind you. And then you can imagine then the frequency gets a bit fuzzy and staticky, maybe because you start bringing some personality fears on, or maybe it's because there's some other drama going on in your life. And then suddenly you see old memories and you suddenly sort of think, and this could be like playing out now, but like old scenarios replaying in your life. And you see some old memories where the channel's kind of tuned back to the old channel. And you think, oh my God, everything's so bad. My life's falling back to where it used to be. But it's not, it's just showing you how things were and showing you how things could be. And then you might think, am I actually progressing because now I'm seeing old memories? And then suddenly you see yourself as you are now, and you kind of go, oh no, that was all fantasy because look, this is where I am, this is where I'm stuck in. This is the channel I'm stuck in now. So that's three possibilities there. This future version of you that's really kind of like ready to take this opportunity to cross this line and be what you need to be and do what you need to do. You've got your past, the version of you where you're a little bit kind of still governed by past issues. And then you have your present, which is not the best place for us all to be right now because we're going through this birthing canal. So it's not how you look at what's going on around you right now, but it's about how you see this as a transition phase into something else. So I'll ask you now, pick a channel. Pick a channel, and then in your meditations every day, try and tune into that channel until you get it stronger and stronger and stronger until it stays on that channel and it no longer fades in and out to the others through the static. Can you do that for me? And then let me know in the comments how that goes for you. Are you able to do that now? Or is it not settling? It's going to take some practice. And we've called this like timeline jumping before, but it feels there's so many different ways we can timeline jump. I'm noticing it's slightly different each time. But this one does feel like an arrow pointing and that we're trying to get it to point in the right direction. It really does feel like that. And this is us choosing who we will be now. And just tune in to what you need to stabilize it in the one that you want. When you picked one, find out what exactly you need to become that as a stable version of you. So that becomes your new vibrational narrative. And as you do that, you have to also be ready to cross the line and fly into that life, to take the next adventure, to trust yourself, to trust that you're capable and that you can do more things than you realize. And even to face your fears and to look them in the eye so that you can finally see that they weren't based on reality, they were illusions. I've had a lot of fears coming up for me this week, like huge ones, so it's been quite tough. So I know how hard this is, and luckily we've got a group that support each other through this, but just it's not just because these fears are coming up doesn't make you a failure. It's just more stuff for us to process. So don't let fear cause you to hesitate. Whatever you've been putting off now is time. It's time to make that leap, to take the action because it will help you reap great rewards. So your mantra this month is, I enthusiastically embrace life's boundless possibilities. I enthusiastically embrace life's boundless possibilities. And I'm hoping now you will take that step nearer to your quantum human template, to become like Queen Dana, to take the necessary action to birth your rare success, to tune into that Galactic Federation of Light Consciousness, that slightly bigger version, to help guide you. So that will be tuning into Sirius, and the Sirius Gateway and the Lion's Gateway, and to allow that to guide you on your pathway. Because we need to now get access to all our soul lessons to really understand what's going on in the bigger picture, the divine, so that we can finally liberate ourselves from what's been holding us back. And just trust that you're always divinely guided by a higher power and that you always have the solutions within you. So any questions? Anything there that you want to ask me about? Otherwise, we're coming to an end now. So next time I will be live, we'll be with it'll be the August energies, and that'll be 29th of July. No, everybody's happy? Good. Thank yous. Yeah, cool. And if you're ready to embark, well, the 29th, that'll be the August reading. I know we're not there yet. We've got July to go yet. Don't worry. And if you're ready to embark on a transformational journey towards self-realization and unleash your full potential, then do join me in taking the first steps towards creating a fulfilling life. So let's work together to unlock your true purpose and lead a life that aligns with your authentic self. And I hope that's King Arthur riding a unicorn. So I'm going to say goodbye now. It's time for me to join the think tank and ask more detailed questions and offer some more insights. And if ever you want to join me on that, remember, just DM me or email me on whitestarsoulguidance@gmail.com. So if something comes up when you rewatch this, then don't worry. Just go to the comments and leave me a message. I will answer. It might take a few days for them to show up on my notifications, but please do subscribe and share with other people who you think might actually benefit from any of this. I'd appreciate that too. So I'll say good night and wish you all a happy July. Bye, guys.